Hello and welcome to Book Bar and another video. I am going to be talking about my April TBR. So April actually has a lot of fun stuff happening. It is the Realmathon, which is hosted by Cassidy at Covers with Cassidy. She is a fantasy reader, and I'm not a big fantasy reader, but she's really fun. I love her videos, and she does a lot of sprints on her channel, especially like late night sprints with Mel from Eleanor Reads and Rye from Rye's Reading Corner. So I'm participating in Realmathon. I am on Team Bale, which is the fantasy romance team. Realmathon is a military-based fantasy, military fantasy-based readathon. That's a mouthful for me, but you don't have to read fantasy. But I am doing fantasy romance. I'm on the fantasy romance team, so I will be reading a lot of that because I do enjoy fantasy romances. And yes, I am rocking my Tupac shirt. But then it is also the start of the SJM-Along, which I am a co-host for. There's many co-hosts, but the main host is Jenn from the Book Refuge. I love Jenn. She is like the Rec Queen, and she created this whole like year-long read-along where we're reading different Sarah J. Maas books in publication order. And I'm excited because I've never read the Throne of Glass series. So I actually went backwards with Sarah J. Maas. I started with Crescent City, and then I read ACOTAR, and now I'm reading Throne of Glass, which I know people say is not the way to do it. But that's fine. I know they're YA, and I know they're very YA tropey. So I'm totally cool with that. But yeah, and then of course, I have other book clubs and things that I am going to be reading books for. So we'll start with the book clubs that I know I have to read for. So we have my fun Lisa Kleypas read-along that I participate in on Instagram. And so we're reading Devil in Spring. I have the gorgeous step back. So I will be reading this one. We actually have 3 that we're reading this month. Because we read like 1 every 2 weeks. So Devil in Spring technically is like a March, but it's a March to April. So I might start it in April. I might even read it at the end of this month. We'll see. Because I am filming this in March. And then Hello Stranger. Again, with a gorgeous step back. And then Devil's Daughter. I'm really excited for this because this is West and Phoebe, who is Sebastian, St. Vincent's daughter. So these are all part of the Ravenel series. I don't know a ton. I know that this one will have a St. Vincent character because it's anytime there's a devil, because Devil in Winter was the Wallflowers, Sebastian, St. Vincent, and anytime there's devil, there is a St. Vincent in the book. This is about a female doctor, and a character that we met in Marrying Winterborn, Ethan Ransom. And so that'll be fun. And then this again, St. Vincent's daughter and West Ravenel, who is Devin from the first book. It's his brother's book, and you've seen him in the first 2, and he's kind of a rake, kind of a rogue. Like he's fun, or I guess he's a rake, but he's very fun, and like I'm sure he's gonna have a similar arc to Leo from the Hathaway series. So I'm excited to get to that one. And then obviously for the SJM-Along, I will be reading Throne of Glass. And I think the second book is Crown of Midnight, if I am correct. I will post graphics of them right here. But I don't know anything about these, and I don't want to. I'm just going to go into them completely blind. So, not going to be thinking about that. And then there's the Rake Appreciation Society, which is hosted by Jenn from the Book Refuge and Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life. And they are reading Topaz by Beverly Jenkins. I've never read Beverly Jenkins, and I've heard nothing but good things about this, so I'm excited. And then if I can get to it, or if I can find a way to read it without having to buy a physical book, I'm the Historical Hellions, which is hosted by Jess from Peace Love Books, and I can never remember Sam's book, her channel name, but I will post her. I think it's Books with Samantha. I'll post her channel down below. And they're reading Gentle Feuding by Johanna Lindsey. I have a few Johanna Lindsey's. I don't believe I have that one. But if I can find it, I do have a couple books I have to sell back to my local like used bookstore, and if they have it there, maybe I'll pick it up. But we'll see. I'm not necessarily like holding my breath that I'm going to get to that one. And then the cover to cover book club is actually reading Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey, which you will all see in my March wrap up. I have already read, so I already got that one done. And then the and the cover to cover book club is hosted by Tori from Novel Life and Sam from Sam Reads a Little. Link their channels down below. And then the officially unofficial book club, which is the late night crew of Rye from Rye's Reading Corner, Mel from Mel Lenore Reads, and Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy. They're reading the Bromance Book Club, which I've never read. So I'm excited to try it. I know it's an indie pub, older contemporary romance, so I'm a little nervous about it. And it's Marriage in Trouble, which is not usually my favorite trope, but that's fine. And then, of course, I have my 2021 Rewind, and so I'm going to be reading Brutal Prince, which is the first book in the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark. It's Daddy Callum. Love him so much. I'm really excited to reread this because Callum and Ada are just, they're so fantastic. I love their story. And I'm excited to get to this again and reread it and see if I'm going to tab it and like see if I just love it as much. I'm sure I will. But if you don't know, on this channel, we are Sophie Lark stands. And then for my 2022 books to read in 22, but also a book that is sitting on my shelf, I'm going to read To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandria Christo. My mom read this and absolutely loved it last year. It's a YA fantasy romance, so works for Realmathon. So those are my like mandatory reads, like books that I have to get to. And then I'm also going to be reading Wolf Gone Wild, which is on my 2022 books to read in 2022. That is by Juliet Cross. It's about a wolf shifter whose wolf can't shift, and so he teams up with a witch. And so I'm excited to read that. I've heard nothing but absolutely amazing things, and it was actually on sale recently on Kindle, so I got it for like 99 cents, which is great. But I'm excited to read it. And then I still have to pick a nonfiction book. I haven't decided what I'm gonna read yet. I have a couple that I've bought and a couple on Audible and a couple that I can get from the library. We'll decide. I really like memoirs. It'll probably end up being a memoir, but who knows. And then my KU choice is going to be a fantasy romance called Between Wrath and Mercy. I know absolutely nothing about it, except it was a 6-star book from Jenn from the Book Refuge, and she's the book right queen. So I don't know how she could steer me wrong. So I'm picking up that one. Then a new release that I'm going to be reading, which technically came out in March. It's not coming out in April. There's not really anything in April that's like sparking my interest. I'm sure there will be some indie books that I'll end up wanting to pick up, but I'm going to be reading The War of Two Queens by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I have been spoiled. I know what happens, and I'm fine with it because I knew it was coming, and I'm excited for it. So I just love the characters in that book. I know that they're not objectively the best, but I don't care. So I will be reading that. And then also, because I haven't read it yet, I'm going to be reading A Shadow in the Ember because it is suggested that you read that before reading War of Two Queens. So I'm also going to be reading that. Now, I have a couple other books that I'm going to read, but for the Realmathon, there are prompts. So basically, you can increase your country's power or your realm's power by reading books that have increasing prompts. You can pick up to 5 prompts. Plus you get 10 points extra if you read a book in your genre. So for mine, it's fantasy romance, and you get 10 points extra if it's a military fantasy. So there's increasing, or you can choose to decrease another realm by, again, picking up to 5 prompts. And there's like 20 prompts. So I have books that I'm going to be reading that fit into some of these categories. I'm not going to say what is increasing or decreasing. If you want to know, check out Cassidy's. I'll try to link her video. If not, check out her channel. It's there. But so prompts are a new to me author, reading an audiobook or an ebook, book with a map, a book with a weapon on the cover, a spooky book, a book with romance, nonfiction, classic, green on the cover, YA or middle grade, parent-child relationship or mentor-mentee relationship, author from a different country, book with food, mental health and healing, a chunky book, which Cassidy says is something that's over 500 pages. And I have a couple of those on this. So a book with like an apprentice trope, enemies to lovers, a book you read in one sitting, a book people have been nagging you to read, and then a toast to the goddess, which is a Cassidy favorite. And then there's a book with any rep, with red on the cover, continuing a series, a short book, a sci-fi, a buddy read, a psychological thriller, a book off someone else's TBR, a book with dragons, indie or self-pub, an animal companion, magical warfare or weapons are used, set with an author from your country, a isolated setting, orphan or betrayal of some sort, color in the name, TBR vet, set at sea, out of your comfort zone, and a second chance author. So I don't know how many authors to do second chance with, so we're going to skip that one. But I am going to go with books that I know fit some of these categories. So I know the first Throne of Glass book. No, why did I put 1? Because I'm pretty sure the red on the cover is Throne of Glass 2. But So Throne of Glass 2 has red on the cover. I think it's Crown of Midnight. I know it's mostly orange, but there is some red. That also is off someone's TBR because Jenn from Book Refuge just posted her TBR, and obviously it's on hers. And it'll also be on all the other hosts, and quite a few other people are in the Discord. It's set in the authors from Sarah J. Maas from the United States, and it is a TBR vet because I've had it on my TBR for a long time. Continuing a series, any of these fit that category because they are all continuing a series. They're also all buddy reads. And yeah. Then I am doing a short book, which is, I'm reading No Exit, which also fits psychological thriller. No Exit, it's also isolated setting. And it's out of my comfort zone because it's like a mystery thriller, and I don't generally read thrillers. So that is one that I'm going to attempt to get to. I think I found an audiobook for it, and when I do read thrillers, I do like audiobooks for them, just because then I can read them faster. And I don't have to spend a lot of time. I can usually read them during the day. And then for a book with dragons, there is a fantasy romance called How to Date Your Dragon. So I will be reading that one. I also believe that is indie or self-pub, but Between Wrath or Mercy is indie self-pub. It's also on KU, so I'm going to be reading that. And then Topaz is a color in the name. So those are books that I know fit for one side. I'm not going to say whether it's decreasing or increasing. If you want to know, go check out Cassidy's video. And then for a new to me author, I'm going to be reading Recursion by Blake Crouch, which also fits Cassidy fave because it was one of her favorite books. It's also a spooky book, so that fits multiple prompts. And then Throne of Glass is, I'm going to be reading the ebook. There's a map, weapon on boat on the cover. YA, it's a YA book, so it fits all of those. A book with romance, 90% of what I read, but I'm picking the romance book club for that one because I don't know that it fits anything else. I will read a nonfiction, haven't decided what it's going to be yet. Green on the cover, Wolf Gone Wild has green on the cover. And then a chunky book, A Shadow in the Ember, Enemies to Lovers. Both of these are Enemies to Lovers. This is also YA. A book with food. This, if you know, you know. Strawberries play a big part at the beginning of this book. So if you know, you know. I will also probably read this in one sitting. And then, a book people have been nagging me to read, Throne of Glass. I have a lot of friends who have been like, you need to read it. And then, so like I said, a Cassidy favorite, Recursion. But yeah. Oh, I am also going to be reading,
Heart of Blood and Ashes by Mila Vane, because that has rep. The main character has some sort of, walks with a limp. So there is disability rep there. And so I will be reading that also, because I've heard nothing but good things about it. And I know it's a fantasy romance. So a lot of these, I mean, I don't have a ton of fantasy romances on there. This is a fantasy romance. The Throne of Glass books are fantasy romances. Wolf Gone Wild is a fantasy romance. I mean, it's kind of paranormal, but paranormal and fantasy are similar. How to Date Your Dragon is a fantasy romance. Between Wrath and Mercy is a fantasy romance. War of Two Queens and Shadow and the Amber, fantasy romances. And there are a couple others on KU that I have saved. I might do like a KU fantasy romance books that I want to read video. We'll see. But yeah, that is my TBR. I know it's kind of a wild out there TBR. And I mean, looking at the physical books, it's not too bad. I mean, I can generally read the Lisa Kleypas books in a weekend, or even like I take them to work and read them on my lunch, and I get most of them done. So I can read those really fast. This is a YA. It's not even like, it's like under 350 pages. So I can probably read that really quick, and then I know I'll read this fast. One, because I have the audiobook, so if it gets towards the end of the month and I haven't gotten to it, kind of like this month's 2022 book, or 2021 Rewind, I can read it with that. But I also just know that I love this story, and I read it, and again, it'll be easy to reread. So that is not too terrible. And then, of course, you add all the other books, it'll be a little bit longer. But I do have a lot of audiobooks planned. I was looking through Audible at all the fantasy books that also have romance, and there's a lot on there. So, and some of them aren't terribly long. There's some novellas and fun stuff. So I do have quite a good mix going on, and I am excited. I should have quite a few fantasy romances. Next month will be very fantasy romance heavy, because anything that I pick up that's extra, that's not on my TBR, will probably be a fantasy romance, just because that's going to help my team, whether I'm decreasing or increasing with the fantasy romance. So, but yeah, I mean, there's obviously some of these I don't know because a lot of these books I don't know much about, and I could end up finding ways to fit them in. So like, I don't have a nonfiction yet, which I will. I probably won't get a classic in unless I find like a modern classic. I don't know any that have parent, child, mentor, mentee. Some of these might have it, and I'll figure it out as I read them. Author from a different country. You think that'd be easy? Actually, I think Alexandra Christo is from a different country. I have to look that up. But I think I've seen like an interview with her on like Instagram, and she has an accent, so she could be from a different country. So I will look at that. I don't have a mental health or healing yet. There probably is. I'm sure that I will have a romance that I read that has mental health rep in it, because a lot of them do. The apprentice trope, I don't know. Again, some of these could have it. Let me know if you know. A sci-fi, I'm not a big sci-fi reader, but I might be able to find like a fun like alien monster romance that's like short and fun and quick to read during the week, or that I can read that I can fit into this prompt. Animal companion, I again don't know unless I find a book that was specific, unless while I'm reading there's an animal companion. Who knows? I mean, I know that they have animals, that they are, especially I know Pandora really loves the animals, and that's this book, so maybe some of her animals could be considered companions. We'll see. Magical warfare or weapons. Throne of Glass, I might have those. I don't know. I mean, there's weapons on the cover, so maybe they're magical weapons. I don't know. A book set at sea. I mean, To Kill a Kingdom set at sea. So we'll see. And then an author with the site that you're giving a second chance to. I generally don't have authors that I don't like. There's one author that I've read that I didn't like their book. And so maybe I'll find a second book that they've written and can see if I end up liking that more, but I don't know. I don't even know if they have written another book. So we will see. But for the most part, if I give an author over 3 stars, I enjoy them. So I'm not giving them a second chance, I don't think. Cassidy, if you watch this, let me know if it's just a book from an author that I've read before, if that would count. I mean, I'm sure I could ask her on Instagram or something, and she would, or check. I mean, there's a frequently asked page. I can probably look at that. I just haven't, and I will. But again, there's really not authors that I haven't enjoyed, and so we'll see. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you are reading next month if you are participating in Realmathon or the SJM-Along. I'm super excited. I'm really thankful that Jenn is allowing me to be a co-host for it. I will post, I'm not going to post all the co-hosts down below because there are quite a few of us, but I'll post the graphic with all of the co-hosts and the 2 live shows that we have this month. I am actually going to be a guest on both of them, so I'm excited for that. And yeah, so I'm pumped for April. It should be a great reading month again. And hopefully I don't slump. I was feeling kind of slumpy earlier this month, but I think I'm out of it now. And I just want to read. So, yeah. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you are planning on reading. Hit like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.